Good morning and welcome to Rising. It is Monday morning and here we are again. Well.
What a new week. Robby, I'm sorry, I got to tell the people, your scooter was stolen. And
I was not going to make a big deal about it, but I did just tell you that.
I know, I don't want that to happen to you. This is the second time. And I was about to think about getting a scooter. Colin and I actually just talked about it this weekend. Like, should I get a scooter? It will help me move around.
Well, I'd still recommend it, but when I get my replacement scooter, we will now pursue more stronger safety measures. I will have a tracker put on it, and I'm going to look into like some kind of an electrical device that shocks you.
Okay.
If you touch it without my permission. Never again.
Too far. Also, I want to point out that we're matching today. Legitimately matching.
We are. I'll give you that one.
Coming up on Rising, Fed Chair Jerome Powell announced in a video yesterday that the DOJ was investigating him, and he says the motivation is, well, political.
Plus, President Trump is reportedly weighing military action in Iran, but he says the nation now wants to negotiate. Death tolls in the protests against the regime also rising, now at least 544 people.
And former Late Show star David Letterman went off on CBS News and its leadership. But first, Robby, what's on your radar?
Well, by now, everyone has had an opportunity to review the footage of the shooting death of Renee Good, who was killed by an ICE officer while driving toward him in her car in Minneapolis, Minnesota last week. Now, we've seen footage from different angles and at different speeds. We've seen it from different perspectives. Finally, we've been able to see and hear what happened immediately before and after the shooting. New footage emerged on Friday afternoon, and we've not had the opportunity to address it on Rising yet, so let's watch and react.
Change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Whoa!
Now, this new footage does clear up some popular misconceptions. It does not appear, for instance, that Good received conflicting instructions from the officers. What it looks and sounds like is that she was following her partner's instructions to flee the scene. That line, "Drive, baby, drive," which was spoken by her wife, is very telling. Now, the new footage does not necessarily answer, however, the only relevant question, which is whether the officer who shot and killed Good, Jonathan Ross, had a reasonable fear for his life. That's the standard. So many in the media are getting this wrong and stating that he shouldn't have fired on Good for trying to flee the scene, which is true. Fleeing the scene on its own is not a satisfactory reason for him to shoot at her. He was entitled to shoot, however, if her vehicle was headed toward him and he thought she was going to mow him down, even if she wasn't planning to do that, and even if getting out of the way was, in hindsight, a better option. So many commentators are becoming emotional about this. It doesn't matter that she said she wasn't mad at him and that he called her a bad name after shooting at her. It doesn't matter whether she was blocking traffic or whether the police were right to detain her in the first place. And it doesn't matter whether Ross was previously dragged by a vehicle, though he was. And in fact, his own political views and hers don't matter at all. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is whether Ross, reasonably fearing for his life, was justified in firing at an oncoming vehicle. Cooler heads, by which I mean experts in the legal system and in law enforcement, they will make that decision by reviewing all the footage. Only a well-trained expert in the use of force can determine, based on what we can see and based on the principles of the presumption of innocence that Officer Ross is afforded, whether he was justified in shooting her. Now, I know everyone on social media, every talking head on cable news, right and left, thinks they're qualified to make that determination. Well, you're not, so calm down. Now, some people hate that issues require nuanced investigation. I know many people on the right want to totally acquit Ross, no questions asked. And I know many people on the left want to bring up charges right now without examining the details. Here was the Bulwark's Tim Miller, casually asserting as fact that Ross murdered Good.
She was like, dude, I'm not mad at you 20 seconds earlier. A 37-year-old lady in a beanie, in a Honda Pilot, with stuffies in the passenger seat. You thought this lady was a crazed murderer? She talked to you. She just talked to you. I will not be gaslight lit by these people, and I will not calm down the rhetoric and tone it down and be like, oh, you got to understand the other perspective. Jonathan Ross murdered her. She talked to him calmly, said, dude, I'm not mad.
Okay, I'm sorry, but all of that, again, is beside the point. Someone can talk with you calmly and in a friendly manner and then still try to run you over in their car. That could be the case. It could also be the case that it was totally unnecessary for Ross to respond that way, but justifiable in the moment because the car was coming at him and he had to make a split-second decision. Or it could be the case that the car wasn't coming at him, that a closer examination of the video footage will reveal that the shooting was totally unjustified, and if so, he should be prosecuted. Spouting off on social media that this is case closed either way, that's wrongful and it's unhelpful. And it's inflaming the public. And I understand the anger. Like liberals, I recoil at having mass law enforcement agencies everywhere doing papers, please style policing of Americans. And I think the Trump administration should consider that these showy displays of extreme force are undermining the entire agenda, the popular parts of Trump's policies. American citizens shouldn't die or face routine deprivation of their rights, and it's ghoulish to suggest, as some have, that she deserved it or that she was a domestic terrorist. The efforts to smear her for having been the victim of the shooting, I think that's shameful and it's wrong. Yet I cannot co-sign mob justice. I cannot say, I've seen enough, prosecute this man, without considering that he may well have been justified under current use of force standards. And if you've developed strong opinions either way, based on short video segments on social media, even though we have all been fooled by these things numerous times, I'm begging you to just calm down and wait.
So I thought your radar and just your perspective from the day that it happened has been really balanced.
Oh, thank you.
And I thought it was fair. I do think that I was let down because it felt like within minutes of me trying to learn the story, just to acquire information from leadership, that the Department of Justice, that the federal investigators, that the president, that Kristi Noem, everyone had made up their minds. Mm-hmm. And I know that there were Democrats that were aggressive in their response. We know cursing from the mayor and all the stuff that was happening. Yeah. But I was just so confused about how we had this information without an investigation. And I know that you said a lot of people are on TV pretending to be experts. And so I was trying to rely on, as somebody who tries to bring analysis to television, experts that actually chimed in. So even on Friday, when Amber and I were talking, I read a quote in the New York Times by a guy who works for the University of South Carolina. His name's Jeffrey Alpert, and he's actually an expert, like you referred to, on the use of police force, worked in the industry, in the business. And he told them the way you evaluate this is you look at it, you see what's the imminent threat to life. And from his eyes, he sees there is none. She's leaving. And that's one expert. But then you have a variety of other people that have worked closely in this type of a position before, that have been on a variety of, I'm talking about real world experience, saying like, oh, we would be trained in this situation to distance and cover, meaning step back, move away, let the person go on, get them later, arrest afterwards, not shoot right away. So all of us are not federal investigators, all of us are not experts here, but I think the fact that we're now excusing local officials from being part of this investigation, now that the tensions are already inflamed on both sides of no matter what your perspective is, we're creating suspicion that leads to larger chaos, and local officials feel like they are completely unattached from this investigation. And so how can we expect fairness and transparency when it seems that Trump and his administration, the same people doing the investigation, have already made up their mind? And I think that to me, is the biggest part that's bothering everyone, because you're right. None of us understand exactly what should happen next.
Right. There's too much making up your mind in both directions, I would say. Right. They can't shoot her, as I've said, just for fleeing the scene. They're not supposed to do that. That makes sense, because if you shoot wildly at someone fleeing, you could hit someone else. You could.
And I looked at you weren't here the next day. 100% correct. You can't shoot the tire.
Yeah.
You can't shoot the leg.
They don't do any of that.
You can't shoot the ground.
So it just matters if she was coming right at him and he thought in the moment he couldn't get out of the way in time, and that's what he had to do. And I can't tell from the video footage if that's the case or not. I don't believe anyone really can. So we'll need a sober-minded investigation of experts who look at that very closely and figure out whether his determination that he made to shoot instead of try to get out of the way was justified in the moment. And we can't tell. People are like, oh, he's clearly in front of the vehicle. Oh, he's clearly to the side. Oh, it's actually can't tell. And we get misled by video all the time. So let's just wait and see what comes of it.
Well, tensions are on the rise in Iran as protests erupt throughout the country. We'll discuss what to expect next as President Trump is reportedly considering getting the U.S. military involved in the situation.